What if being black in business is a lot harder than people would like to admit?
But what if some people are actually using that as the reason why they don't build?
Because racism is real, discrimination is real, and lack of access is real.
But so is laziness, so is a lack of execution, and so is a lack of discipline.
And this is where the conversation starts to get a bit uncomfortable.
Because one side says the system is against us.
And the other side says, stop making excuses.
But maybe somewhere the truth is in the middle.
And today we're talking about what it's actually like being a black man in business.
The pressure, the stereotypes, the advantages, the disadvantages.
And the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people who do not like to introduce themselves. We are the Unplugged Podcast, the best flipping show in the universe.
In the world.
In the ether.
Let's go.
And if you're joining us for the first time because you're living under a rock, we are the Unplugged Podcast, and we help people unplug from societal norms so they can live life on their own terms.
So guys, today we are talking about, is being black a disadvantage in business? Or is it the excuse that some people use to stay in the trap?
110%. So bro, let's get straight into it.
Let's go.
Realistically and honestly, bro, is racism still a thing in business?
100%. Racism is still a thing in life. I feel like racism is something that will never go away. I feel like it's definitely, it's not probably as prevalent as it was maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. Obviously, like equality, rights and all this type of stuff. But it's something that will never die. 100%,
because I feel like with a lot of people, like, you know, even being a black business owner, it's like, all right, you own a business. Oh, you work for yourself. You don't work for a master. You know what I mean?
May I go to the bathrooms?
You know what I mean? So I feel like, do you think like it's more so it's a bit more subtle now? Is it more so kind of swept under the carpet now? Or what would you say that looks like?
It's definitely institutionalized.
How do you mean?
And it's done in a smart way now.
Corporate.
Very corporate. Very not in your face. Back then you might have been called a boo. Now they'll find another way to get you.
Is that better or is that worse?
It's worse.
I think so as well.
Because the reason why it's worse, because you have Tom smiling in your face. In the back room, Tom's cussing you out.
Literally.
So it's 10 times worse. It's more shady, it's more sneaky, it's more two-faced.
100%
is the word.
Exactly, because you think, yeah, me and Tom are brethrens. Well, basically, that's my kid, that's my guy. We go to the pub every Thursday after work.
Lunch,
but little did you know he's effing and jeffing and calling you all types of Negroes. Do you know what I mean? So no, I definitely think, and I do agree, like racism is still a thing in business in 2026. But I do agree with you, like it's very, very much kind of kept under the wraps, you know. But another thing I kind of also wanted to discuss is that because of this, do you think that black men or black people as a whole have to work harder now?
Not necessarily. And the reason why I don't think so, because I think because of the internet and social media, you don't, like we know, there's a book that me and Freeman both read called The Almanac by Raval Navakant. And what he says is that social media is permissionless. So whereas before you needed permission to talk about who you are and build this and that, and you need those connections, the internet and social media has blown that out of the water. You don't need permission from anyone. We're right now sat in my house on a sofa in the studio. We don't need permission, bro.
100%.
We can just get in here, turn on the cameras, turn on the mics, and say whatever the hell we want. And we don't need permission. You either like us or you hate us, and that is it.
Pick one.
So yeah.
No, I'm totally with you on that. Do you think that being a black business owner, there's like a smaller margin for error, right? As in, like, we all know like failure is a thing. Like people are very scared of trying it. People are very scared of trying. But do you think like, no, like not only do you have the pressure of starting a business and having thoughts of what people think about you, but also I'm a young black man in business. This has to work. And on that added pressure, do you think that is realistic? Like, do you think that's even a thing?
No, not for me, again. And I think you only allow pressure into your life if you let it. So if you allow outside factors to add like life is very pressurized anyway. Do you know what I mean? And if we start letting in things that don't really need to affect us or pressurize us, then that's on us. But I think, yeah, maybe back in the day there was this whole, because you're black, you got to work harder. But I almost believe that whatever you think about becomes your reality. So if you don't think about that, or you don't think that's how society sees things, then it doesn't bother you. Like, you block out the noise. Like, it doesn't matter what society thinks, because society's not going to stop me from getting where I want to be in life. So it's almost like, if that is, your thought process, or was, it's almost like, again, can we unplug from that mindset and mentality? Thinking like that doesn't change your life, bro. It doesn't help you in any shape, way, or form. So why are we going to think about things that don't help us get to where we want to get to?
That's a very interesting thought, because I feel like for me, I've always kind of been brought up and taught that as a black man, especially as a young black man, I need to work 10 times than my other counterparts. Like, do you think that's actually still a thing, that we need to work 10 times as harder to stand out, to be taken more seriously?
Yeah, and I think, again, back in the day, possibly. So I know that's something that, we are from immigrant parents and stuff like that, and obviously them coming here,
it's historic,
another country, that's their story, where they had to work harder than their counterparts, because unfortunately that was how society was set up. But I truly believe, because of the power of the internet, that that's no longer a thing. Like, I don't need to work harder than... Obviously, I'm going to work hard anyway, but I'm not looking at somebody who's not black and thinking, I need to work harder than you, because if I don't, I'm not going to get ahead. I feel like that almost puts you at a disadvantage. And again, you're thinking about someone else when you should just be staying in your lane. And I just, in my opinion, I don't necessarily feel I now need to work harder than Michael. Maybe if I'm in a job. Maybe if I'm in the trap, I might need to work harder than him to get that promotion. But yeah, yes.
Do you feel like
in a working environment? I
was going to say, do you think in business there's no rules?
No, I think in business there's no rules, and that's what I like about being in business. In business, you can be whoever the hell you want. Like, we are sat on the sofa for our podcast. I'm in a bloody Arsenal shirt, bro. I can be who I want to be when I'm not in the trap, and when I'm living life on my own terms. But when I'm in a working environment, I have to comply. There's now rules, there's now regulations, there's now the system. You know what I mean? So I think it more so that applies probably in a working environment as opposed to in business. Because
there's no rules. It's an uncontrolled environment. You can, like you said, you can do whatever the hell you want. We can do whatever the hell you want, whenever the hell you want. Right. So no, and just that kind of like moves us on swiftly to like the next talking point, which is, like you mentioned, like, thinking like that will put you at a disadvantage. But what I kind of want to understand is being black an advantage now?
I think it's an advantage depending on what you do in your life. So so what I mean by that is, your business is based around who you are and your culture and your background, then clearly your advantage. So, let's think about, say you was an artist and like you're a black artist and you perform music based on your culture, then someone who's not your culture is very unlikely to be able to produce the same type of music as you because of that. So I really think it depends on kind of what your business is about as opposed to anything else. What about you? Do you think there's an advantage?
I think definitely there's an advantage. Like, again, we was talking earlier on about like Purple Cow, which it's a marketing theory about just things that stand out to you. And I think if I was to look in a farm and I was to see loads of white sheep, but I was to see a black sheep, I'd probably pay a bit more attention to what they have to say or what they look like. And that's, for me, like what I've always had. Every single time I've gone for a job interview, or especially if it's on a group thing, I've been, the only black person there. One of my first ever corporate jobs, I was one of 3 black people in the whole 9th floor building. In the whole organization, I was probably like one of 12 out of 4,000. So, one of 12 black people in a corporation of 4,000.
Wow. And how did that make you feel?
I can't lie, it made me feel a bit powerful.
Okay.
Yeah. Because again, like, how I look at it is like, there's not a lot of people like me. You know what I mean? And I know we're going to get into it personally. You know what I mean, bro? Like, there's not a lot of people like me. Who can you compare me to? Do you get what I mean? I've got my own swag. I've got my own look. I've got my own colour to me.
Style.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no one looks like me. No one sounds like me. And by the way, the only other black people that I'm comparing myself to are like 20 years my age or female. I was the only black 20-year-old or teenager there at the time. You can't compare me to anyone else. Right? So I kind of use that to my advantage. And I knew that would always kind of like help open doors as well. But yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I did sometimes see like, a lot of like, mates of mates and stuff like that, and little cliques. Yeah. There was a bit of that. And actually, I'm not going to get into that. So that's fair enough. But I always try to use it as a bit of an edge to myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I definitely think like it can be your superpower and it can make things a lot more impactful.
Yeah, so I want to talk about, I feel like some people use racism as a reason not to advance in life or kind of like go to the next level. Because ultimately racism can be real, but we can't, you know, it can't be your business plan. It can't be something that you just constantly think about all the time and you use it as a reason to not move forward in life. What is maybe like your experience, or what have you heard people kind of talk about racism, or racism preventing them from, you know, doing what they want to do?
Perfect example. Well, shout out Unks, but I used to remember I mentioned that I worked at my uncle's phone shop. And he used to make comments of like, you know, like it was just me and him at like the reception, at the service till basically, right? And, you know, sometimes we'd have like some, you know, white people come or some Asian people come to the shop, kind of get closer to the shop and kind of look in and then just kind of like turn around, right? And he used to make comments like, it's because we're black and da-da-da-da. And obviously that's all I knew. I was like, yeah, it probably makes sense. Probably because I'm black. They're probably going to go to like, you know, another shop across the road or whatever. But then now that I've been, you know, involved in business, now that I understand like the power of marketing, right? We weren't creating enough demand or enough attraction, or we weren't creating a desirable product or service that irrespective of what we looked like, people would come to us.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's the excuse. And obviously it's easy to make an excuse. And that's the whole point of excuse. And obviously I don't want to like discredit, obviously like there is like very clearly like systemic and like historical racism. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but I feel like a lot of the time people use it as a cop-out. I'm not going to lie.
100, I agree.
People use it as a cop-out. I'm not getting any, like, why is Sarah, white lady Sarah getting all the sales and getting all the people? Sarah is a lot more marketable. Sarah's services are a lot more worthwhile than yours.
Sarah's creating more value.
Way more value. And that's why Sarah's getting paid and you're not.
Yeah.
Simple. Like, it's very, very simple. Do you get what I mean? So, and again, use that like, and another thing as well is like, if you're using that as an excuse and you know what's wrong and you're not doing anything about it, you're just doubling down.
Yeah, that's the worst thing about it. There's one thing complaining. There's one thing complaining. And there's one thing actually doing something about it. You know who you are.
It looks like Diggs. You know.
But yeah, I think it's always easier to kind of like blame outside forces than actually go and fix the problem and actually fix what's in your control. And I feel like sometimes we get caught up in worrying about things that are not in our control, but all that does is slow us down. So I've learned over the years, don't worry about what you're not in control of. Worry about what you can actually fix. Spend more time focusing on what you can fix as opposed to what you can't fix. And the whole idea of, you know, there's racism out there and this and that's going to stop me. Racism will always be there. It will never go away.
100%.
But again, we need to kind of not worry about it because we're never going to fix racism. You know, Martin Luther King tried his best to fix it. One of the most powerful speeches in the world, and he still wasn't able to fix racism. He improved it, but he wasn't able to eradicate racism because it will always be there.
100%. And I definitely think even just sort of adding to that, right? Discrimination can block access, but a lack of discipline can block access when it appears. If you always have that thought in the back of your mind that because of what I look like, how I sound and where I come from is going to stop or block my blessings or success, it will always do so. It will always do so. Like it's very much like a mentality thing. It's very much a mentality. Like you're more than likely smarter than the person that you're comparing yourself to. You're more than likely brighter. Your offer is a lot better. Your product or your service is a lot better, but your mentors is incorrect. And that's the main reason why they're winning and you're not, you know?
You're focusing on the wrong things.
100%. Your objective is so wrong. But taking it a bit more personally now, because I feel like we've spoken like from a very kind of like fairly unbiased perspective. Like in your side, like bro, you run a lot of businesses, a lot more businesses than I've had hot dinners. Do you get it? So like obviously you have a wealth of experience, and I kind of wanted to know, what has your experience being a black man running several businesses, and how does that kind of affect you from perhaps from your start to like now?
I'll be honest, I've personally, and this is the thing, sometimes you can like build up all these different thoughts in your head about how you think things are going to be. You know, there's this out there, there's racism out there. And when you actually get started, you're like, actually, does this really even exist? Or if it does exist, it hasn't affected me. And maybe it hasn't affected me because I just don't think that way. I don't allow my mind to consume things that are not positive and negative, and I think getting kind of caught up in, there's so much racism here. I've never, in answer to your question, I can't actually think of a time, and this might sound crazy, where I actually experience racism in business. And maybe that's because in business, you attract your tribe, you attract your customers. So your customers generally are not going to come to you or want to meet with you if they're racist. They just won't. So I find whoever I interacted with, I never felt there was a level of racism. They just accepted me
for who you are.
And I think that's what's so beautiful about running a business and being a business. You either like that person or you don't. And if you don't like them, then you don't see that person. Or you don't get to interact with that person because they're just not there. So I can honestly say I've not really experienced racism in business, but I have experienced racism in the working environment.
I was just gonna say, bro.
No, I have, bro.
There's no way you've got there unscathed.
So my name's John Patrick. So I've got probably one of the most English/Irish names.
Yeah.
You hear that name, typically you think that's a white guy, right? So
I
remember I applied for a job at an estate agent maybe about 20 years ago. And sent him my CV, spoke to him on the phone. Hi, John. Yeah, great. We're looking forward to seeing you. Come over to my house. So I went over to the director of the company's house.
Oh, wow.
They invited me over to their house and did an interview in their house.
Wow.
And I'll never forget this. I remember walking up to the door, big yard, like cars in the driveway, knocked on the door. The woman opened the door, and if you ever saw how her face dropped when she saw that John Patrick was black, I instantly knew in that moment I was not getting this job. Instantly, bro.
That's crazy.
So she welcomed me in, begrudgingly. Thank you for that word. Begrudgingly, I was trying to find the word. Went upstairs, and throughout the whole interview, bro, I knew that I wasn't getting this job. And at the end, she's like, "Yeah, we'll be in contact with you." I just knew I was never going to hear that. And lo and behold, I never got the job. So there's an example of me. And I was good, bro. I had experience. I was professional. I came in.
Yeah, you can sell, yeah.
I can sell, and I had to articulate myself. I was a very good candidate. So in my opinion, I might be wrong, but I'm good at reading people, and I just read the room. What about you? Have you ever experienced business? Have you ever experienced racism in business?
I probably wouldn't say like full out racist, but more so some form of discrimination. But I think it's probably more so on my age than my color. Yeah, the ageism. Do you get what I mean?
Ageism. It's a real thing, bro.
Yeah, I think so. Because, bro, I started my property business when I was 21. Do you get what I mean? When I was 21, 20. So I started it so very young, and I'll never forget, there was a big deal I was working on sourcing on. And for those of you who don't know what property sourcing is, effectively where we match make a property investor with the property they want, with the landlord who owns that property, and we get a fixed fee. So I was working on a big deal. I think I've told you this in the past. It was in Birmingham. I'm not going to say the names because I don't want to out anyone, but it was a big deal. Like the deal was like probably like 40K. Right? 40K. Now, transparently speaking, the landlord was like a kind of an older gentleman, probably like in his late 50s, early 60s, Asian descent. And then my investor, was probably maybe in his late 40s to early 50s, and of equally Asian descent as well. And then I was very cool with my investor, right? Very, very cool with my investor. And all of a sudden, I'm in some Gujarati, some kind of Indian tunes, bro. They were speaking amongst themselves. I'm trying to control the pattern, let's speak in Queen's English right now, yeah? And he basically told me afterwards that the investor said, like, this young guy doesn't have the minerals to work on something like this. Wow. I don't want to work with him.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean? So big up and respect to the investor, but either way, he ended up still kind of like snaking me and took the deal anyway. So I lost out on that anyway. But that's probably say like in business that I've been aware of.
Yes.
Anyway, right? That I've been aware of. In front of me. There could have been you know what I mean? I'm sure that I put a couple again, like my name doesn't help either. Freeman Richards.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't quite give any Nigerian twangs to it. You know what I mean? So again, not much in business. Probably a few like I said, like ageism, and with some landlords not thinking I have the minerals to take it on. But definitely corporate a lot, man. I worked in finance in the city. Like I said, I was one of, like in my building, I was like one of 4 black people. And I'll never forget, there was so many, like from the food I ate. Oh, that stinks. What's that? What's that, Freddie? That stinks. Manager, you know, that stinks. What's that? What are you doing that? Oh, Freeman, like, your hair's growing out. Your hair's growing out. Or during COVID, I'll never forget, one of my colleagues, like, she started wearing, like, she normally wears, like, wigs, right? Like, straight hairs. After, like, lockdown, she wanted to, like, you know, her natural hair, like, show her afro. One of the managers walked past and said, oh, it looks like you put your finger in a socket.
Oh my God.
I was like, wow.
Look at that.
Right? You know what I mean? But again, like, there's so many of them and there's so few of you. So, you know, you keep quiet, you conform, and you think, yeah, this is just this is just it. Racism is just normal.
Yeah.
So
Normalized.
Exactly. So I kind of embraced it, you know, I just part like, yeah, like, you guys are going to say some out of pocket things and it's whatever. Like, hey, Freeman, like, we're going to play some basketball. You be good at basketball, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah? Not because I'm tall, but just because you be good at basketball, I could be 4 foot. You be good at basketball, right? Yeah, Freeman. So yeah, just a bit of that. And again, a bit like you, I became very desensitized to it all. Desensitized, and I just like, this is part of it. And if I'm going to be part of the corporate world, this is what I'm going to do. But if I want to play in a game of no rules, which is in business, where irrespective if you hate my guts, yeah, you will still buy from me.
Yeah, because you have what I need.
Exactly. So I think that's like the powerful thing ultimately in business as well.
So guys, this is a part of the episode called Plug Bites, where myself and Freeman read out a quote, something that's inspired us, something that's motivated us, and something that's made us want to share with you, the world, to help you go to the next level. So my plug bite is from somebody by the name of Madam CJ Walker, who basically built this major hair care business around the world for the needs of black women, and became one of the most iconic black entrepreneurs in history. So her quote reads, I got my start by giving myself the start. And I just love that, because I feel like there's so many people who almost wait for the perfect moment, the perfect circumstances, the right time. They wait to have their ducks all lined up before they actually make the move and start. But you only can get started by giving yourself the start. Don't wait for someone to give you the start. Don't wait for someone to say, it's okay to do it now, because that moment will never come.
100%. I love that. My plug back comes from the famous Oprah Winfrey, who has been a massive influential character when it comes to the media, hosting, and television space as well in today's modern history. And her plug back is this: there is no such thing as failure. Failure is just simply life trying to move us in another direction. A big part of this is that we need to embrace failure. We need to take the rough with the smooth, and we need to understand that failure is part of the business plan. And if we embrace failure, that's also allowing us to be a lot more closer to success. And that's why I love that quote. But guys, I really, really hope you appreciate this episode. A bit different, a bit honest, and a lot more real. And you're going to get a lot more of that from us. Indeed. John, we've made their lives a hell of a lot easier. For the people who are always on the go,
yes,
you don't have the time to watch us.
Yes. So to make it a lot easier for you guys, we understand not everybody watches things on YouTube. So if you're not a YouTuber, but you like your Spotify, you like your Apple, you like to listen on the go, you like to listen in the car, in the gym, we are on Apple, we are on Spotify. So there's no reason now for you to lock in.
So guys, as always, make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, tell a friend, tell your mum, tell your dad, tell his mistress. She might be black. You ain't discriminating.
No discrimination.
No discrimination. But as always, guys, love.
Elevate.